Hello, good evening, and welcome to Wheel of Fortune. No, it's not. It's the Dark Mirror show. Who just died? Yeah. Well, hello. What are you doing, Ellen? Hello.
Hello, no viewers.
Yeah. Don't you just love it when people would rather watch the TV? And mind you, it is Sunday. We weren't here on Friday. Absolutely knackered from a hell of a long drive, so I wasn't going to do that Friday. And then everybody else was busy on Saturday, so here we are doing it today. Oh, look. There we go. Hello. Whoever that is.
We weren't here on Friday. Absolutely.
So, yes.
Hang on. I'm having a bit of a breakdown here.
Turn your Facebook down, please, mate.
I can't. I'm trying to get rid of it.
Oh. Okay. Well, anyway.
It doesn't. It doesn't want to disappear. I'm having a bit of a breakdown. There we go.
And the Count. And I think Big Bird's over there as well. Oh, hello. There's Big Bird.
That's better.
Ah.
Right.
Yeah. Are you back with us now? Are you there? Are you right there?
I think so.
Okay. So, yes, today is probably going to be a two-part show because we've got so much stuff for the letter C. C for cat, not for anything else, you vulgar people.
Country.
C for country.
Cow.
Cow.
Koala.
No.
Oh, shit, that's okay.
See what I have to work with. Anyway. Oh, dear. So, how is everybody? What have you been up to?
Everything. Just about everything at the moment.
All right, the legal stuff you can talk about.
Christmas present shopping and writing and
Tamsin's
just about.
birthday.
Yeah, Tamsin's birthday was earlier on in the week, which was quite amusing.
How did the birthday cake go?
Yeah, that was quite amusing. Up until 5:30 the following morning, getting a mummy shark birthday cake made. So by the time I'd finished it, I ended up getting about an hour's sleep before the kids got up. So that was quite amusing.
Was that the one I thought was burnt?
Yes, when it was actually the chocolate cake.
Yeah, I just saw that.
He said to me, he showed me the photo and he was like, "What's wrong with this?" And I was like, "Nothing." And then he said, "I just asked him," and I was like, "Dad, that's chocolate."
Oh no! Oh shit!
Yeah, it went down well. We've just got the head left to eat now, so.
There you go.
Yeah, because ever since her birthday, we have had nothing but problems with her.
Oh.
She's been a pain in the bum all week.
How old is she?
Sorry?
How old was she?
3.
3. Well, happy birthday. And you've got the terrible 3s and the terrible 4s and the frightfully 5s to come.
There you go. Told you.
What was it? The terrible 3s?
Terrible 3s and the terrible 4s and then the frightful 5s. So we've got this for another 3 years.
At least.
And then the sit down and shut up 6s.
Yeah. Yeah. And the silliness will get you nowhere. A slap will help. 7s.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, the letter C. There's so many countries that begin with C and so many other very useful words that begin with C. But
not koala.
No, koala doesn't begin with C. Koala begins with K. Like K for traffic light.
Oh.
Oh.
So
yes, well, one of the first ones I'm going to do is one of the ones that Lynn's found out, and it's that they're a castle in the Czech Republic. I can't even pronounce this. Houska. I don't know if it's Houska or Hauska because it's Houska. I think it's Houska.
I would have said it was Houska.
Well, this Houska castle in the Czech Republic is thought to be one of the most haunted locations in the world. And apparently is isolated in the forests north of Prague. Doesn't have fortification, water, a kitchen, or access to trade routes. So it's your ideal off-the-grid number then. The existence of the early Gothic castle defies military or political logic. To be honest, if it's got no fortifications or a natural water source or even a bloody kitchen, It does make you wonder.
Well, it's, you know, obviously to not have any trade routes or anything, you know, to sort of be tucked away from the rest of society. It's
That is a very, we're not here, isn't it?
yeah.
Suspicious.
And for a castle the size it is,
It is a big place.
you wouldn't have thought it was a, you know, ideally it's not a place of, oh, I want to get away from everything size castle.
Well, it's been said that the Huska was built to close the gateway to hell, and apparently demonic activity had been disturbing the region for quite some time, and a giant bottomless pit was thought to be the source. Naturally, Bohemian officials erected a castle and chapel over it to seal the gate. Personally, if there was a giant bottomless pit there that demons were falling out of, I would have just turned around to and asked my ex to put her trousers back on. But apparently this was not before. They lowered prisoners into the pit as punishment, and then when they pulled them out, they found that they had aged 30 years. Okay.
Well, how long were they in the pit for?
Probably 30 years. The way they've written it, it makes it look like they put them down there, and you know, when you get so scared, you get your white hair and everything.
Well, I was thinking if they were down there for a couple of months and there's no light, then that's going to make you age quick. Oh, that's going to make you age less, actually.
It's not going to make you age 30 years, is it?
Yeah, but light gives you wrinkles.
I know, I've got lots of wrinkles. But there you are, there's more wrinkles. But yeah, what do you make of that? A castle built over a gateway to hell, and they lowered a bottomless pit, and they lowered the prisoners in, and they aged.
Yeah.
Sounds like something out of a film, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, the problem is what time was that?
When this was done, let's have a look. This was I'm pulling them out. Huska is also the site of Nazi occupation and the occult dabbling in the 1930s.
Actually, the Nazis occupied, or the Wehrmacht occupied, the castle in 1945, up until 1945. Sorry, and yeah, so obviously because of Hitler's interest in the occult and Himmler's interest in the occult.
Right, yeah.
They sort of descended on the castle and apparently were using the powers of hell for their experiments. So they must have heard of these the stories of these prisoners aging 30 years by being in the pit. And obviously those stories had been around for a long time, pretty predominant in the Czech area, for them to have shown interest in that castle.
Apparently several Nazi skeletons were also discovered at the site many years later.
That wouldn't be surprising.
But
normally they would have just used prisoners, wouldn't they?
That's how
their own people.
Everywhere used to use prisoners to test. I mean, the Japanese used to test their katana swords by how many prisoners it could cut through, and that would, that would pertain as to how good the sword was. But apparently, also around there, you've got ghosts ranging from a bullfrog human hybrid creature, a headless horse, and an old woman. Around that area, that's babushka, whatever they're called. No, mamushka, babushka. What's the other one? Baba Yaga. That's it, Baba Yaga. It's also believed that the site contains non-human remains of the demonic beasts who escaped the pit.
They're also aged 30 years on their way out.
It doesn't say if they aged 30 years on the way out or not, but quite frankly, if there's a pit and my in-laws are spilling out of it, I think something needs to be done about it.
You just stand there and kick them back in.
Yeah, you would. You just. This is Sparta.
Thing is, though, is if you've got like the tourism people are actually saying there are ghosts in that area, but also remains of demonic beasts. Why haven't they got any record of that? That's all right, the tourism board saying we've got remains, but are there any pictures of these remains? Have they got the remains in glass cases or in a museum somewhere?
It will be interesting to find out.
Just as
Just as they were found.
Because it's
Yeah,
like
true.
anything, isn't it? You know, to turn around and say somewhere is haunted, you've got to prove it's haunted first.
I've got you. But as the paranormal is and always will be not an exact science, because nobody can claim to be an expert in it because it's not known.
Yeah, but that's because that's paranormal. But when you've got physical remains of a demonic beast, you'd be a fool
Yeah,
to
I'm
just
a bit-
bury them or burn them elsewhere, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
You know, it's like when Ripley's, believe it or not,
yeah, that's right.
came out with that the mermaid, the half
Oh
human.
God, that thing. Yeah, yeah.
Right now, obviously, there was always been the rumours of mermaids. Now, Ripley has obviously fused this thing together and gone, here's this mermaid. And for years, people went, oh my God, there's an actual mermaid. People
That's right.
believed it. So if you're going to turn around and say, we found remains of a demonic beast, you would have thought at least that they would have gone, these are the remains.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Wasn't that like half fish, half monkey that he sewed together?
Yeah.
They did loads, didn't they?
did all
Ripley's, believe it or
sorts.
not.
There's a big place in Blackpool
There's one in
dedicated
London as well.
to the bizarre and mundane, weird stuff that they've concocted over the years.
Some of them, yeah, I've seen the actual mermaid, and it's
It's scary.
very for its time. It was very well done.
It's still creepy.
Still creepy, yeah. But it was very well. It's like the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle publishing those fairy pictures.
You know that
think-
the two sisters have admitted that they
Yeah,
weren't
but
real.
I know, but for years
Yeah.
and I mean, it even fooled Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, didn't it? And for years and years and years, and he was a member of the the Ghost Hunters Guild, wasn't he? Is it the Ghost Hunters Club in London or Ghost Hunters Guild?
Right, yeah.
But he was one of the members. Yeah, and he thought they were real. And they fooled everybody for about 60, 70 years, didn't they? And it was only fairly recently, wasn't it? They came out and said, ha ha!
And I will add on Huska Castle, if anybody wants to, and I'm sorry for swearing, because I don't normally swear, especially when I'm on live broadcasts. But this one's all right. Ghost Hunters International, which aired on Sci-Fi on July 22nd on 2009. And this is where I apologise for swearing, people, because I don't mean to. Most Haunted Live visited the castle on the 26th of March 2010. I do apologise.
You've made him sit up. He's in such shock. He's like,
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't get to
Look,
you
so-
made the viewer
so
go.
angry.
Viewer, come back.
Did he swear? Did he swear?
Oh, no.
Are
That
you
one viewer
not happy?
disappeared.
He's not happy,
I'm
is he?
sorry. I didn't mean to say the MH word. Zzz. I didn't mean to.
That was hilarious. You said that, and they went, "No, bloody hell, I'm getting out of here."
I try my best not to mention it or the names of the people, but you know, these things happen.
We've had this discussion before, haven't we? Everybody slams Most Haunted, but if it hadn't been for Most Haunted in the first place, half of these people and these teams wouldn't exist, and it wouldn't be as in the mainstream as it is now if it hadn't been for Most Haunted.
No,
I don't know what
No.
you do. Yeah.
I
So
will
yeah.
disagree. I will disagree with anybody that says Most Haunted were the ones that started everybody off. Because there was another TV show that was on before Most Haunted that actually kick-started a lot of people off, including myself.
Was that thing with Nick Ross?
Ghost Watch on BBC, that
Yes,
Halloween.
I remember watching that.
That was way before Most Haunted. And that's
I'm
what
thinking-
got me more and more interested in the paranormal.
That's right, and apparently things actually happened on Ghostwatch, didn't they?
Although it was all staged, there were a few things that happened on it that they didn't account
Got a
for.
Greg's Cup,
We're not sponsored.
sponsored by Greg's, the best pies and slices around.
Festive bakes.
Oh yeah, I haven't had one yet.
Oh, the Christmas ones. We've got to do that.
Festive bakes are gorgeous. We're going to go and get some in the week.
But yes, this castle. I think there's a really good story to it. But the castle. Reading that about it being built over a pit that leads to hell, that reminds me of that old film from the 80s, The Keep. Did you ever see it?
That's gone back some way.
That is going back some way, but
Yeah.
that was very, very similar. Nazis in a castle. The castle was built over.
Is that the video? Is that the movie where they tried to make it?
No. That was where the Germans live on the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. No. It wasn't.
No.
It was a horror.
You have, Himmler actually had quite a few castles that he used for his occult experiments.
Mm.
Along with the one that he had the Black Sun in. That was it was a big hallway, and inside it he had the what they described it as the Black Sun, and it was just the marble flooring had been done in such a way, and they reckoned it had something to do with the occult, and it's still there to this day, and visitors can actually go in and see. Which this castle is. You can now go into this castle and have a good look around. But that's why I mentioned Ghost Hunters International and the other one, because if people haven't seen the castle, all they've got to do. Hi, Eileen. You are watching. Hooray!
I got 4 people watching.
If people want
There
to know,
are other people on this show, Eileen. Come on, Eileen. Sorry.
If people haven't seen what the castle looks like, shows like that, you would be able to actually have a look around and
Nice
see
to go,
without actually physically being there. So yeah, it's a bit weird.
But it is very, very reminiscent of the keep. But talking of that area, you can read this one.
I don't know what he's doing. He won't let me.
Do you want to read this, or do you want me to read this?
You can read it.
Okay, because Wayne's doing Canada, aren't you?
I am.
Again, it's going to be Canada. Faust House. That wasn't Faust House. That was Faust House. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. Faust House. Apparently, this is on in Charles Square in. Well, that's good. It just says it's in Charles Square. Walking on Charles Square, you can find a house so mystical as its name, Faust House.
In Prague.
Yes, in Prague.
Yes.
Ah, right. Legendary Dr. Faust is known for his pact with the devil and the black magic, even though the real Dr. Faust probably never even visited Prague. This house got its name for its mystical history and especially for its eccentric inhabitants. Right. Cool, there was quite a few in there. This 14th century Baroque mansion was owned by Prince Vaclav of Opava, who was very keen on natural sciences and alchemy. That was alchemy was banned, wasn't it? You weren't supposed to be able to do alchemy back in the Middle Ages, were you?
Nope.
He was the first one who gave rise for the association with the Faust legend because of his profession. Then there was an astrologer called Jakub Crooked-Neck, who lived there with his 2 sons, and then the younger son killed the older one for an alleged treasure that was hidden in the house. So there's a murder. There was an famous alchemist, Edward Kelly. Oh, we've heard of Edward Kelly. And Ferdinand Antonin Mladotto. Milado. There you go, Antonin Milado of Solopiski. Do you know what? I'm so glad I don't have any fake teeth, Emma, because I would have spat them everywhere. Yeah, exactly. Apparently, he did chemical experiments there that scared people in the neighborhood.
You got alchemy, murder, and chemical.
Yes. And Mladotto's son was not only good at physics and chemistry, but he was at mechanics. And he astounded his visitors by a door opening on itself, a flying staircase, and electric shocks he put in through the door handles. Flying staircase, yes. A moving staircase.
An escalator.
Yes, but before there were escalators.
But did he invent an escalator?
Apparently, yes.
Oh.
The most eccentric dweller was a Karl Jaenig in the 19th century, and he painted the walls with funeral texts. And he had a functional gallows in his home and slept in a wooden coffin. He also wished to be put in his coffin with his face to the bottom. So how are you going to bend him over double so his face is on his bottom? Strange fellow.
You missed a good point out though.
Which one?
The student that lived in the house tried covering the holes in the ceiling, and he couldn't.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then apparently the legend states that he found a secret book, read some spells, and was taken through the holes by the devil, like Dr. Faust was.
Oh, well, that would explain where the book came from. No, but that was after the book, wasn't it?
So
Very
at
strange.
some point, yeah, because Dr. Faust had read the spells, obviously, and the rumor is that he was taken by the devil. And now this student has obviously found the same book. The book has obviously disappeared somewhere in the house. He's found it, and it's sucked him through the holes in the roof.
Lindsay has just said apparently the Dr.
Faust.
sold his soul to the devil.
That's the legend of Faust. It's Faust in the underworld, isn't it?
I don't know.
Faust in the underworld. If you want to read an abridged but quite funny version of it, then you want
Is
to
it gonna be
read
Terry Pratchett?
Terry Pratchett's Eric, because that is Faust. That's the Faust legend, but his version of it. So
I
yeah,
like Terry Pratchett.
the Discworld, Terry Pratchett's Eric. That explains Faust down to a T. Yes, I'm just looking at. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. All right, which country do you want to go on to, or have you got any other Czech ones you'd like to do?
Well, apparently there's quite a few places in Czechoslovakia that are quite weird.
Well, it's one of the most
think-
haunted places in the world, isn't it?
I think so. There are a lot of haunted places here. I mean, Prague Castle itself is Prague's #1 attraction, which has a few spooks that go along with it.
Yeah.
Including ghosts that have been seen because of a fire that happened in 1541.
So everybody got a bit crispy then.
Just a little bit.
I can see ghosts.
Brought to century, and the castle was turned into centre of art.
We have our own personal ghost asleep on the sofa right now.
I've got mine, but she's gone out somewhere. Charles Bridge, which must be near Charles Square, the Loretto. Apparently, the observation tower on Petrin is also haunted.
Okay.
Hello, where's that gone? St. Nicholas Cathedral. You wouldn't have thought a cathedral could be haunted, but apparently it is.
I don't know the amount of bones. I mean, cathedrals back then, the amount of bones that went on, and to be fair,
Yeah.
cathedrals and things had murders and stuff going on in them back then.
But apparently there has been a rumour that someone had seen Amadeus Mozart. The ghost of Amadeus.
Yeah.
Was seen apparently in there.
Just tell them, man.
Wandering around. How true that is or not, we're not too sure, because there isn't much that
Was it?
sort
It
of.
was Mozart that was deaf, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Beethoven.
I think was it. Yeah, Beethoven.
Wolfgang Amadeus
Beethoven.
Mozart,
It
or
was Beethoven.
was it Beethoven? Oh, Beethoven was it? Right, got it wrong. I just remember the '80s song Amadeus.
Yeah, Amadeus.
Oh.
I mean, when you think about it, a lot of these places in Czechoslovakia, they date back for a very long time. Got the Church of Our Lady of the Snow, was founded in 1397.
Church of Our Lady of the Snow.
Yeah,
I suppose they haven't really got a lot else out there back then, did they? Just
a
snow.
bizarre one. So apparently, in the 4th century, Virgin Mary has appeared in a Roman merchant's dream and told him to build a temple on the place where snow will lie the following morning. The merchant was confused, since it was in the middle of the hot summer. Still, as he woke in the morning, he found Esquilinum Hill covered in snow. Following the request, he had the Church of St. Maria Maggiore built on the site. The famous altar of Our Lady of the Snows carries a painting which relates to the legend.
That'd be quite something to see, I reckon. I'm hopefully sorting passports out next year, and I said I wouldn't mind going and doing like weekends away and into like Germany and Eastern Europe and this, that, and the other. So I think it might be nice to explore some of those places.
And there also, while we're on Czechoslovakia, there is a video circulating around. I saw it on not YouTube, TikTok the other day, and it made me have a look for it on YouTube. And it was a couple of lads had gone to Czechoslovakia and they'd gone to a wooded area. And apparently there's this mysterious clearing, and there is literally sort of like conifers and fir trees all the way around.
I know exactly where you're on about.
And they've gone and walked in, and they've heard all these strange noises.
Yeah.
There's been fires in the middle of, big fire pits in the middle of the ground.
Yeah.
And then as they're leaving at night time, they've had strange lights following them down the footpath, and weird stuff's been going on. So again, that's another one that sort of,
it's supposed to be evil ground, because I've seen a few documentaries where they've gone there, and it's miles and miles and miles of thick forest, and right in the middle of this forest is this quite a big clearing, isn't it? And it's circular, and you go there, and EMF meters go off the scales, and
that goes crazy.
Yeah, everything. I think Geiger counters were going.
There's no reason for it, because it's in the middle of a forest. There's just this very sort of rough dirt track going right through the middle.
Yeah.
Where hikers and that have gone through. But there's no power cables there. There's no power lines, no telephone lines. There's no roads sort of visibly close. And
the closest road is miles away. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I saw the video the first time, I thought, well, maybe that could be a car light in the distance from the nearest road. But then when I watched, there was a follow-on where another group had gone to the same location. They had a light in the same place, originated from the same area, but it was blue. Only this one followed them.
Well, there's people who freaked out there, isn't it? They felt as if they had people trying to take them over or be possessed, and they've literally freaked out and gone for their friends and this, that, and the other. And apparently there's one spot on there. If you go and stand on it or sit in it or do a lone vigil in it or whatever, that's the bit you feel. It just feels. I think on all the videos, isn't it? They say it just feels like pure evil on this one spot.
It's one of those situations where you can walk into a place and you can feel that something's not right.
Yeah.
It's that inner feeling, isn't it? Where you go into a place and you think, no, something's not right here. And then when you come out and you actually research it and think, well, this went on here, and you go, well, that would be the reason why I didn't feel too impressed with the place.
We had that with a church. That was it. I'm not going to say which church, but it's in Epping Forest. And after doing the research and that, because we went up there, didn't we?
I didn't go.
Did an investigation there, and the woods out the back of it, turns out that's where they used to do devil worshipping. Edgar Cayce was involved in it. What's his name? Aleister Crowley. He came up on the Ovulus. And it turns out Aleister Crowley did actually visit this place, and it turns out when you research it, there was devil worshipping going on up there, and then it was before the church was built, and then somebody built a church over the top of it to stop people doing that, and it was also the place where Boudica and that lot used to go and do live sacrifices to the gods.
Boudica. We don't call her Boudica here in the home of Boudica. We call her Boudicca. She was our boss.
I'm in Yorkshire, mate. I don't give a monkeys.
Come on, I'm
Kevin
from Colchester. Who was
Kevin
the boss? Boudicca. What is the link to that video? What do I type when looking for it? What video?
Let me see if I can find that spot.
What video, Kevin?
TikTok that you watched.
Oh, the TikTok. Yes, I can't remember the name of the forest now. It was literally, was it Czechoslovakian or Romanian?
I think it was Romania. I think.
It's something that Wayne watched.
I don't know. They're close to each other, aren't they? Let's have a look. Evening, Kevin, by the way.
Is it Hoya Bacau? Baku.
The Hoya.
Yeah, that one.
When I first saw that, I thought that was a forest in Japan. The Hoya Forest is a forest situated to the west of the city of Cluj-Napoca, near the open air section of the Ethnographic Museum of Transylvania.
Kevin.
Forest is used as a common recreation destination.
I'll just type it into the comments here for you. HOIABACIU. There you go.
So yes,
Yeah,
Kevin,
there you
if you put that into the Hoya Baciu Forest, if you put that in onto YouTube, that will send you to the YouTube videos that people have made in there.
I remember when. Oh, who was it? There was one of the team. I'm really fussy when it comes to paranormal stuff. There's only a couple of teams I'll watch, and it was one of them that went to that particular circle up there, and they hated it up there. Who the hell was it?
There's actually a movie that's very much like this forest that you've been talking about. Where
Blair Witch, isn't it?
No, it's like an updated Blair Witch, but it's not Blair Witch, and they have.
The Cabin in the Woods.
No.
Wrong turn.
It starts where the beginning of it, like someone watches their friend get killed, and then they all go hiking the year after to commemorate him.
Yes. It's got the old god in it, the forest god. You know the one.
Yeah, I watched it the other week.
Yeah,
Oh,
and it's
my God.
in Norway, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna quickly look it up while you guys talk. I'm gonna look it
And that was a really good film as
I
well,
really liked
because they when they got there, it was basically they were Vikings, weren't they, from the Viking era?
Yeah.
As long as they did that and stayed there, they never
The
aged.
problem has been over the last couple of months, I have watched so many films, horror films, ghost stories, and various bits and bobs, that I'm completely losing track of what ones I've watched. And luckily, because Amazon Prime has a little thing on there that says play again, I'm like, no, I've watched that one. No, watch that one. No, watch that one. And I'm like, my list is getting smaller and smaller every time. I've now gone on to something else now. I'm watching that Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan.
Oh, what was that I'm watching? Designated Survivor. I've got into that. With Kiefer Sutherland. That's it. I think one show that we should do, I reckon one show that we do, because I don't particularly do horror films, because they don't scare me. I'm just not a fan. But I love things like Supernatural and stuff like that. So I reckon one show that we should do, or a couple of shows a year, is review some horrors that have come out, and we can give the Dark Mirror show.
I love horrors.
Yeah, you do. The Dark Mirror show thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah.
Or the Dark Mirror show raspberry. Yeah, because I talked about it.
No, you got. I suppose you could have the raspberries, because there's the Rotten Tomatoes, isn't there? That is it IBMB do or whatever it's called?
Yeah. Internet Movie Database.
Yeah, they do the
IMDb.
Rotten Tomatoes, don't they?
So I reckon there should be a Dark Mirror.
Yeah.
On horror films, because
Yeah.
this one and Lynn's are horror film aficionados. You like them, so couple of times we'll do a Christmas special on some of the films. Yeah.
I love horror films, but I would rather watch more the
You're welcome, Kevin.
the ghosty side of things.
Yeah.
I'm not too.
Sorry.
The Ritual.
Yeah, the ritual.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I'm not too keen on the ones where there's lots of blood and guts. So I do watch them, but when there's the blood and guts, I can't be bothered with all of that.
Having said that,
my brain can
Underworld.
think of worse things. So
you need help. You need Jesus.
Why do you think I write ghost stories? Because I've got the imagination.
See, I love fantasy. Discworld stuff like that. Love all that sort of stuff. Absolutely love it. But shall we go on to?
Are we bringing out a third Avatar thing?
Yes, there's going to be Avatar 2 and there's going to be Avatar 3.
There's been Avatar 2.
Was that?
I'm pretty sure 2's out.
I don't think it has been out yet.
Avatar 2, the second one?
Yeah, I don't
Where
think.
they have babies. Right? Or am I imagining things?
Have you been watching the cartoons? Have you been smoking that funny stuff again?
Avatar. Oh, 2022.
It hasn't been out yet. I told you.
Oh, ignore me. Whoa.
There. Shall we go on to Canada? Because you know quite a fair bit about the Canadian stuff, and we'll leave Cambodia and Thingy Bob, Cambodia and Colombia for next week.
Right. Well, let me get the let me get my old notes up, because for some reason the old
It's
spaghetti
his age, ladies and gentlemen. It takes a little while for him to get it up.
certainly
I'm sure,
is.
including me.
What do
You're pregnant.
No, I had a thing here which had the history of the place I'm going to mention now, and for some unknown reason it's disappeared again. So what I have to do is I have to go onto their website instead and recall it.
Do you want to do Tranquil Sanatorium?
Yeah, because I've still got these. Well, no, I'll go on to what I was going to do. The old spaghetti factory.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
actually an open restaurant, which is still open to this day. However, there have been a number of ghostly sightings. For decades, I've been sharing stories of ghost stories and sightings in the neighbourhood. So the old spaghetti factory, which is the name of the restaurant, they now do celebration nights, celebrating the fact that this place is haunted. And with quite a few spirits that actually stay around. The first sighting involved a tram conductor from the number 53 old trolley car. That
They're exact.
Yeah, they know exactly what trolley car he was on. They think it's just part of the decor. Some say the conductor died in an underground collision beneath the restaurant, while others believe his ghost appeared at the day when the tram was installed within the restaurant. Either way, many say that the old spaghetti factory staffers have spotted the ghost in full form and in uniform inside the tram after the restaurant empties out in the evening. Because obviously they took this number 53 tram and they integrated it into the restaurant. So they claim that this conductor, he could be part of the tram. He used to work on that particular tram. And so when they brought it into the restaurant, the ghost came with it.
And the whole place is built on top of an underground railway track, isn't it?
Yeah. There was an underground system that ran underneath, and they reckon there was a collision underneath there. That's one of the other possible theories.
Show the ladies and gentlemen.
You dine inside the tram. That's the tram in the restaurant.
Yeah, well, that's they brought the tram inside the restaurant because there is another section of the restaurant itself. The tram is just part of it.
These places, a lot of these places that we've been discussing over the last few weeks, I wouldn't mind going there. They're sort of going on my bucket list of things to do, isn't it?
To be honest, I'd love to go back to Canada because I've been there a couple of times and I love the country.
I've always wanted to go to Canada.
It's beautiful. I just don't want to go up the CN Tower again. I'm staying clear of that.
Is it a bit too tall?
Well, at one point it was the tallest freestanding structure in the world. And the only way of getting to the top was in a glass elevator that was on the outside of the building.
You don't fancy that though?
When I stand and there's something that's like 2 times the height of a building, I'm gonna fall over. Like if I look up at it, I can't. I'll fall over.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I went up it, I was 6 or 7, and my grandmother took us over there to see our relatives, and we went down to Toronto and Ontario, and we went up the CN Tower, and we had dinner at the top in a restaurant that revolves around the outside rim of the tower.
Like the old post office tower in London used to do.
Yeah, and the elevator goes up from the outside. So you get in the elevator in this building, then all of a sudden you go out through the roof and all you can see is the city around you. And you're looking down and you can see all the cars going past and all sorts. And you look up and you can see where the top of the tower is, where the restaurant is. And yeah, quite scary. But the only way of getting back down is in that lift. So it's
Have you seen those? What do they call them? Sky. Those clear perspex bridges they have in China that go round cliffs and across cliffs. And
Skywalks.
yeah, you got all these people
with the
freaking
glass on it that cracks
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you stand on it.
Yeah, and you got people going ah! as they're on it. Yeah, yeah. No, thank you. No.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
wouldn't do that.
we're going off track here. We're ending up in China, which is another sea country, but
Oh yeah.
I think with the way the political climate is at the moment, we'll give that particular country a miss for a while.
skip China. But
Yes,
although
but it's C for China, C for I don't know what's another word begins with C?
we're talking about
something like that.
we're talking about countries where strange things are happening in countries beginning with the letter C. COVID beginning in China.
Begins with the letter C.
Anyway,
And cure begins with C.
that's that section done. Anyway, ghost number
Vaccine doesn't.
No, that begins with D.
ghost number 2. The second ghost is of a little red man with flaming auburn hair and a penchant for mischief. Rumour has it that he roams around the kitchen area whispering to staffers and calling them out by their name.
So there's a leprechaun loose in the spaghetti house.
And he knows who they are.
I like that.
So he's been reading. So he's been reading the staff books. That I think is classed as an intelligent haunting, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Unless there's a little small Irish person there who's probably related to me.
If it calls staff by their name, that's got to be an intelligent
haunting. Yeah. Yeah. So, definitely. Be a place to go to.
The third ghost was spotted by a waitress who saw a young boy running around the restaurant during her closing shift. She was so scared by the incident that she resigned on the spot. The same spirit has also been seen bending cutlery, but when staff members brought it to the attention of the manager, the previously bent cutlery had mysteriously returned to normal. So could that have been Uri Geller paying a visit?
I was just about to say he was Mr. Geller there. He was working for the CIA at the time, trying to discover Mars back in the past. Yeah.
And ghost number 4, it looks like we've got a full family going on here. The fourth ghost was the sighting of a young girl sitting at the table near the front of the restaurant and holding a balloon. A friend of the general manager claimed to have engaged in a long conversation with the ghost, but when someone else approached the table, she disappeared.
Well, that's an intelligent haunting as well.
Yep. So the question is, where did all these ghosts come from, and why do they call the old spaghetti factory home?
Maybe they could be the.
I reckon it's got to do with what it's built on top of.
Maybe, or they could be like the kids of the guy that the tram worker.
Well, there are. When I did a little bit of looking up, there are 2 claims. One was from a psychic who claimed that there's a vortex around the back of the restaurant, which has brought these spirits through, and lingering spirits attached to the historical artifacts with the decor. So, like the tram itself, could possibly explain the conductor, but what would explain the other 3?
It's either a portal, as you said. It's either a portal or it's to do with the tracks underneath them. Maybe something happened there, but it doesn't say that if these spirits all look like they come from the same era or anything, does it? No,
they haven't really. Without actually having a look at the this psychic that went and visited, without actually looking at his report and looking at his findings, there's no other information about it. You know, what time period. The only way you could sort of put a time period to anything really would be looking at the time period that the trams were in service in that area. Because obviously one of the rumours is there was a collision underneath the restaurant, which, depending on what time period it was, the trams may have gone underneath. there.
Well, it says it was an underground system, wasn't it? So,
Yeah.
I don't know if it means the train or if
Or
it's
the trams. Tram's taken a shortcut and go underneath the
underground
restaurant.
railway track. It says an
Yeah.
underground railway track. So, yeah.
So, you could say to yourself, right, well, okay, that particular tram was retired out of service in, say, 1890,
uh,
or 1920. I'll say 1920. That'd be more realistic. If you said it went out of service in 1920 and it's just sat in an old yard somewhere for 5 years and then was brought into the restaurant, or it sat there for 40, 50 years before it was brought into the restaurant, then the chances are you can sort of narrow down as to whether that is related to the tram. But then when you just have a random little boy running around the place or a random girl there with a balloon, it's going to be difficult to actually get a time span because you need to confirm what sort of clothing she was wearing.
Well, balloons wouldn't have been around till after the 1920s, wouldn't it? Is that when? Because that's when volcanization started.
Yeah,
no,
so you have to then look at it scientifically. If she had a balloon, it's got to be after a certain date.
Yeah.
But then after that certain date, you would then have to look at her clothing to see what sort of style of clothes she's wearing to get another time frame. So she could be wearing, I don't know, sort of bright, flary clothes that's sort of relevant to the 70s. So then you've jumped forward 50 years. So she's been there from the 70s onwards.
That'd be a place. I'd be intrigued to go there.
I want to go there because I really like spaghetti.
Okay, we'll go there and investigate. You eat the spaghetti, all right?
And we'll just go there for a lasagna.
You mentioned it. I've been like, oh, restaurant spaghetti.
Sarah, shall we? I was going to say,
admit, when you say the old spaghetti factory, you think, oh, food.
Yeah. Well,
I've eaten enough over the last 2 days. I can't eat no more. We've already had
shall
Christmas.
we move on to the sanatorium?
Christmas Day #1's enough for me. I haven't got another one to go yet.
Oh God, yeah, you haven't you?
Anyway,
Tranquil Sanatorium.
Mr. Tranquil Sanatorium, built in 1907, so it's quite new. It's only 113 years old, but it was It was built to treat tuberculosis, which obviously in them days it was called the White Plague. Before colonization, First Nations people frequented the land for fishing and hunting near the Tranquil Lake. As the tuberculosis epidemic was spreading in the 1900s, a small community known as Tranquil was built around it. Originally, the facility was called the King Edward VII Sanatorium and served only to treat tuberculosis. The community built around the facility had gardens, houses, a gymnasium, farm, a fire department, and more facilities. In 1958, the hospital closed and was reopened in 1959 to treat the mentally ill. It closed permanently in 1983, but briefly functioned as a detention centre for young offenders until the 1990s. In September 91, an Italian developer, Giovanni Camporose, the president of A&A Foods, brought the land for turning it into a resort and renamed it as Padova City. As a reminder of the place he was born, then there were plans for the demolition of the site, but government interferences and Camparose's unrelated 97 case prevented it. Don't say what his case was. He must have been told off for doing something naughty in 1997, which made the Canadian government say, no, you're not going to do it.
Well, what hauntings were supposed to have been there?
And then, so, of course, because of that, oh, lovely. Movies such as The A-Team and Firewall were partly filmed there.
The A-Team?
Yeah, apparently.
Huh.
The company that now owns it, or a company, I should say, because it says the abandoned site is currently operated by Tranquil Farm Fresh, and the acres of fertile lands are used for agriculture. The company, on Saturdays and Sundays, gives tours of the grounds and opens its infamous tunnels at Halloween with theatrics in partnership with the Chimera Theatre of Kamloops. That's a company in British Columbia. Okay. Yeah. According to the history, I can't work out how they say it because they're claiming that this obviously the building wasn't the actual sanatorium wasn't built until 1907, but before the sanatorium was there was 2 ranches there. In the 1890s, there were 2 ranches belonging to the Fortune and the Cooney family, and they started taking people on as boarders. And they actually allowed people infected with tuberculosis to live in small cabins or tents on their properties and care for themselves as long as possible. So they reckon that some of the ghosts that are there are tuberculosis patients. There is also links to a few of the mental health patients that were.
I'm just looking at it now as well, and it says it's one of the most haunted places in Canada, but it doesn't actually tell you what it's supposed to be haunted by. It goes, oh, it might be this, might be that. So,
yeah, I mean, the article I've got here is that the people have visited the sanatorium, and some people have come out and said that they've been chased by someone wearing a white gown. That you can only assume, if it's a white gown, you can only assume that would have been a patient of either the tuberculosis or of the mental health unit.
Yeah, it's not. None of the articles explain anything really. It says more about the building and its history. It doesn't say what it's supposed to be haunted by.
But I think, I mean, it states on there that it's strictly forbidden to actually go on that property without being invited or without having a ticket for one of their events, because they do the guided tours and tunnel escape rooms.
That's right.
So it's hard to tell what it is really, because there's a lot of people are saying that yes, it's haunted, but it's haunted by what? Because like you say, there is no one's actually putting any articles to it. It's difficult, but we know for a fact that in the early 1900s, when science was still sort of pretty young as regards to the human psyche, all these weird experiments, lobotomies and things like that would go on in these places, and a lot of the times without any relatives knowing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they did chemical experiments as well, didn't they, with drugs and stuff?
Yeah. So a lot of people, especially in that sort of time period, if their doctor had said no, your uncle's, he's a Fruit Loop, he's gone, he's off with the fairies, you bang him up, that would be the last they saw of him. As soon as they gave the permission to take him away, that'd be it. They'd never see him again.
But we've got a paranormal event happening here at the moment. There's this strange smell emanating from one of the pugs,
and that's where a lot of the rumors and the legends begin, because these people were taken away, they were experimented on, and that was it. The next minute they go, oh well, so and so died, and no one ever asked any questions, so they were just swiftly buried or cremated or whatever, and that was it. No questions were asked, gone. And that could arise to the hauntings. This spirit was tested and experimented on, and unfairly, and ended their life unfairly, and so they stayed behind. But
some of the investigators,
testimony.
I was going to say, some of the teams that have been there, it's this was heard and that was heard, but there's quite a few of them saying that they've been touched.
Yeah,
I have asked them to show me on this doll where he touched them, but they refused to. So,
I mean, it still comes up in the top 10 of haunted places. I mean, okay, it's British Columbia, not Canada as such, but it's all part of it.
We have milk.
I'll tell you what, we'll finish with one more. And then that's it for the show. Go and get your milk. You choose. Let you choose. You've been doing Canada, so I'll let you do it. What about the Hockey Hall of Fame?
Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Hey, Reg.
Is that Reg? Is that Reg Cartwright?
That's right.
Hey, Reg.
Hang on. He is. There.
Evening, Reg. Reg is a lovely guy. Owns the Miramar Bed and Breakfast. Bit of advertising there. In sunny Blackpool.
Oh, Reg.
Also a haunted location.
Yes. He, Mr. Wayne has told me all about Reg.
Investigate
about him the other day, actually.
and it is an amazing building. If you want to just have a nice weekend away, you can go there. If you want to go looking for ghosts, you can find something in there. Every time they've done a live feed or I've been there and done an investigation in there, something has happened. It's amazing in there.
I don't know what their breakfast is like. It's more about ghosts, really.
Reg will look after you breakfast wise.
I like
Trust me.
Breakfast.
She likes mixing the paranormal with breakfast, as you can tell by the increasingly large tummy.
You've got to have a full English breakfast. You know, it goes without saying, doesn't it?
Oh, that's what Alfie wants for his birthday dinner.
What? Full English?
What's the full English?
Right.
Well, we'll have to. I mean, I like Blackpool anyway. I haven't been over there since I was little. You, so I'll have to go over there one day.
Now, oddly enough, the only thing I could find was at the time, very short notice. I hasten to add.
Short notice. Short notice.
Well, you sent me the email yesterday.
No, yeah, we've been working on this.
That was short notice.
Did I say I only sent it 2 days ago? I thought I sent it at the beginning of the week.
No.
Oh, all right.
Okay, right. The Hockey Hall of Fame.
That's right.
And I'm assuming that is, it's in Toronto.
Yeah.
For more than 50 years, a ghost known only as Dorothy has haunted the Hockey Hall of Fame. The local newspaper is now able to publicly reveal her full identity and confirm what actually happened.
There's a bit of a going on there with the bank manager.
In the early 1990s, a few years before the Hockey Hall of Fame moved into the historic building that had been a Bank of Montreal branch for close to 100 years, Toronto musician Joanna Jordan saw a female ghost looking down on her from the second floor ceiling. Jordan, who was playing the harp at an event being held in the building's Great Hall, was unaware at the time that the ghost purportedly haunted the space. I remember it so vividly, she says, because it's one of those things you'll never forget. Jordan refused to go up to the second floor by herself when she played at the hall, which opened in 1993, some years later. It was just too spooky up there, she stated. It's assumed by those who believe in such things that Jordan had seen the spirit of a young teller known as Dorothy, who had killed herself in the bank sometime between the early 1900s and 1960s, according to various sources. Although Dorothy has been written about in numerous books and articles, she has never been given a last name, nor was the reason of her death confirmed until now. The newspaper that did the article had learned that she was Dorothy May Elliott. She was 19 years old. She shot herself early in the morning of Wednesday, March the 11th in 1953, and died 22 hours later at St. Michael's Hospital. Her death didn't garner much attention from the newspapers of the day. The long-term defunct Toronto Telegram ran a brief item on March the 11th, which reported that police were checking a story that the attractive young brunette may have been despondent over a love affair.
That's right.
The Telegram didn't follow up on the story, but the Toronto Daily Star, as the Star was then known, ran a 3-paragraph item on page 14 the next day that announced her death, citing the cause as loneliness because her boyfriend had left her to take a job on the boats. Over the years, other rumours emerged. One version accused her of having been caught stealing money. Another said she had been discovered helping members of the Irish Republican Army who were planning to rob the bank to fund their cause back home. And a psychic several years ago said she was murdered because she had uncovered a scheme involving the bank manager, the chief of police, and a leading judge, all of whom were embezzling money from belonging to farmers.
Well, the one I've got here is it says she took her own life
And,
after her romantic advances were rejected by the bank's manager.
Yeah. It's got it here that the most common theory, however, was that she was having an affair with either another teller or the branch manager, a married man who had an apartment in the bank.
So he kept making a deposit.
Yeah, I think he probably did leave a couple of deposits, but they got found out. The latter account is the most accurate one, according to someone who knows the details, but for personal reasons doesn't want to go on record. So obviously it's still sort of semi-fresh in people's thoughts as to what had happened.
What do you make of it?
Why not?
I reckon it's more than likely there was. Canada, they don't really have a lot of true crime going on up there, do they?
Canada, I think Canada.
No.
Canada
are people that live in Canada. So
I know, but my head puts them. My head merges them. So I have to, every time I say Canada, I have to think. In my head, I say Canada, but then I have to translate.
This is what baby brain of baby who is almost here and we thought was coming last night, but didn't. So this is what baby brain does to your daughter.
Taylor, you'll get a few false alarms before it'll actually start.
Well, we've told her. We've told her.
I wasn't freaking out. I went for a bath.
If the pain doesn't stop, take me to the hospital.
I said if I can't sleep because of the pain, you have to take me to the hospital.
Nothing I can do.
They can give me pain.
You can wait till they're 5 minutes apart and then we'll take you to the hospital.
No, because the hospital's an hour away.
That's what I kept saying. We'll wait till the contractions are so much apart and then we'll go. Won't worry them now. We'll just worry them when it gets a bit closer to it. But I don't know. I mean, obviously, when she took her life, that was a bank. It wasn't a hockey hall of fame. It wasn't a music theatre or anything like that. It was a bank.
I can't see her taking her own life over discovering a plot, but I can see young girl, late 40s, early 50s, taking her own life because she had an affair with a married man.
The bank manager, I can see that as more of a possible excuse than anything else. I don't know, the murder thing. Finding out about the bank manager, the judge, and the chief of police plotting.
That's like a movie, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems a bit too far-fetched, but 1950s.
1950s Canada, you never know.
Canada's not known for a high rate of crime, is it? When you think of the legal system in Canada, it's always the Mountie always gets his man, and you look at Canada as a proud nation for fighting crime, but you don't really hear much about crime.
They actually really pride themselves on rehabilitation instead of just putting people in for life and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
well,
I personally think it was the fact that she was jilted by the manager.
Yeah, I reckon that as well.
She couldn't handle going into the bank every day and working behind the tellers, knowing that he's there. And she decided to do herself in.
I reckon. Unfortunately, back then that was pretty much what a lot of suicides were causing, mainly suicides. I'm going to have to disappear in a second and call it an end to things. So it's 10:05, and we'll be back to our normal Friday spot next Friday.
Hopefully.
If ever we're not doing it on a Friday, we'll always try and do it on a Sunday. So if anybody is watching.
Yeah, we can't do Saturdays because Saturday, or this Saturday anyway, I'm off to the Red Lion in Colchester to do. We are filming our last 2020 episode of Truth Beyond Paranormal from there on Saturday.
Oh, I've been there. I'm sure I've been there. Enjoy and have good luck with that. And
are they open with COVID?
Now they are.
Yes. We're on tier 2, so places like hotels are allowed to open. We have been restricted to 5 people being there for filming. I mean, usually it's pretty quiet in the Red Line now anyway. But we've been given the use of the hotel, and there's only the 5 of us going to be there, so we're well within the rules.
Go for it. Next year, I think
all good.
we're doing Ancient Ramin next year, January or February. And I haven't done that place, so I'm looking forward to that. But next week, Cambodia and Colombia and Cambodia. And all I will say to you is, with the Colombian ones, you're in for a treat with one of them. And
There weren't a lot.
the one that likes to pop.
Yeah, but
There's one that likes to pass wind. That's all I'll say. If you want to know more, tune in this Friday, 9 o'clock on the Dark Mirror Radio Show. And thank you very much to Mr. Wayne here.
Thank you very much, everybody.
It'll be Alfie's birthday as well next Friday as well. So yeah, our little Alfie's upstairs at the moment. Right. So I will say thank you very much, and thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you next week. For those of you who missed it or just caught the end of it, it'll be up on YouTube within the next 10 minutes. So just type in the Dark Mirror Radio Show. Anyway, bye. Say bye for now.
Bye for now.
This has been brought to you with the letter C.